It has been 3,500 years since Paul Atreides ascended to the role of savior for the Fremen and the Emperor of the known universe. Following his father's footsteps, Leto Atreides II envisions the same path that his father once saw, a future ensuring the survival of humanity across the galaxies. However, realizing this future demands an extraordinary act of sacrifice. The seemingly eternal reign of God Emperor Leto spans over 3,500 years, his longevity achieved through a transformative decision recounted in Children of Dune, where he merges with sandtrout, the larval stage of Arrakis' colossal sandworms. Through a gradual metamorphosis, he has transcended his human form, adopting what he terms a pre-worm state, assuming a physique reminiscent of the ancient sandworms, marked by scaly sandtrout covering. While his hands and arms retain their human semblance, his lower extremities have withered into uselessness. He is navigating on a sizable Ixian cart, safeguarding him from moisture, which is like poison for him. Also, his cognitive functions have dispersed throughout his entire body, manifested as interconnected nodes. Encased in sandtrout skin, he has acquired near invulnerability, surviving even the lethal impact of Lascon blasts. Throughout millennia, Arrakis underwent a profound transformation, significantly more hospitable for human settlement. The ecology change was dangerous to the giant sandworms, resulting in a perilous decline in their population during Leto's reign. The narrative of God Emperor of DUNE follows Leto's endeavors to fulfill the Golden Path. In the depths of a dense forest, three people find themselves pursued relentlessly by a formidable pack of wolves. Their desperate flight is fueled by the theft of crucial documents belonging to God Emperor Leto. Blueprints for his legendary desert citadel and 2 volumes of his personal journals. These daring thieves seek the whereabouts of Leto's valuable spice reserves, alongside any insights concealed within the 2 volumes of his journals. Though they originally set out as a group of 11, Siona Atreides manages to survive the quest. Leto anticipates a meeting with Duncan Idaho amidst the catacombs beneath his stronghold. During his contemplation, a chilling realization surfaces. His demise away from a body of water would spell the end of sandworms and spice for eternity. The Guild, fervently safeguarding their tenuous grasp on spice, discreetly alerts Leto to Duncan's acquisition of a Lascon from the Ixians. In the midst of a debriefing, Duncan, catching the Emperor lost in thought, brandishes the weapon. Undeterred, Leto harnesses the commanding resonance of Paul's voice, compelling Duncan to stop. He then effortlessly overpowers Idaho with his colossal body. Meanwhile, Nayla types a report for the Emperor in her room, expressing concerns about Siona's risky behavior and requesting release from her obedience vow. She reflects on Leto's communication implant, questioning its compliance with the Great Convention's ban on computers. Mineo heads down into the crypt to meet the Emperor and to deal with the mess left by Duncan's body. Leto contemplates on Siona's greatness and justifies his actions through her. He reveals the spy in her rebellion to be Topri, and then decides to retreat in his tower to mourn Duncan, only to be informed by Mineo that a new Gola is already on the way. The new Duncan arrives on Arrakis with fragmented memories. He discovers it's been millennia since his death, with Leto, Paul's son, ruling as a tyrant, gradually transforming into a sandworm. Uncertain about everything except for his name, Duncan encounters the women from the Imperial Guard. A masked guard assesses him for Tylaxa tampering, while the other designates him as their commander. Deemed untampered, Duncan is escorted to the Citadel, where he requests a bath and new attire. Siona attends a rebel gathering, where Topri presents the former Ixian ambassador. He is being sent back to his planet due to his involvement in providing the Lascon to the former Duncan Idaho. Topri reveals Leto's knowledge of a collaboration between the guild and Ixians to create a machine. The Emperor instructed them to persist in this study, but to report daily to him, with the Bene Gesserit also being involved providing them spice. Furthermore, Topri discloses that the old Duncan Gola is presumed dead, replaced by a new one. Siona hands over the stolen volumes from Leto's citadel, hoping for deciphering assistance. She insists on receiving Leto's full message. Leto, observing Mineo's age of 118, believes he's holding on just to witness Siona, his daughter, become commander of the fish speakers. Leto reveals that the new Duncan is part of his breeding program, which involves combining older and newer genetic strains. He plans to test Siona's readiness for the Golden Path, although Mineo worries about her survival. If she passes, she will mate with the new Duncan, who will soon be introduced to the Emperor. Nayla is on her way to meet the Emperor at his citadel tower. Leto sees her as patient, simple, and remarkably strong, thinking of her as one of his most valuable servants. She views the Emperor as a god and follows his orders unquestioningly, but her faith occasionally requires reinforcement through direct interaction with him. In their initial encounter, Leto gave her a genuine crysknife, and Nayla remains obedient despite being tasked to join Siona's rebellion and follow her orders, including potentially killing Leto himself. She finally reaches Leto atop the tower. During their discussion, Leto criticizes religion for breeding radicals like her, but Nayla remains unfazed, even thanking him for his insult. They also discuss Topri's value as a spy, with Nayla describing him as insignificant. She confirms that Siona has sent the stolen journals to be translated in hope of finding Leto's spice hoard. He confirms that it exists, warning of dire consequences if stolen. In the end, he instructs Nayla to protect Siona at all costs, and even to allow her move forward with the plans. The new Duncan is escorted to the crypt for his first meeting with the Emperor. Leto, aware of the mental disorientation caused by the awakening process, initially greets Duncan with Paul's voice to ease the tension. As the conversation progresses, Leto reveals his sandworm body. He discusses his plans for the female army, known as the Fish Speakers, and assigns Idaho to lead his personal guard. Despite sensing manipulation, Duncan decides to cooperate and expresses his sincere love for Duke Leto and Paul, which deeply touches the Emperor. Next day, Duncan puts on the Atreides uniform for his first day commanding the Fish Speakers. Mineo arrives to brief him on his responsibilities, prompting questions about the female army. During breakfast, Mineo discusses the inherent challenges within male armies, highlighting tendencies toward internal conflict. He also points out that women tend to mature faster due to the experiences of pregnancy and childbirth. Surprisingly, Mineo reveals his Atreides lineage and connection to a past Duncan, Idaho. The Emperor and his companions go on a journey to On. On the road, various conversations occur between Leto, Mineo, and Duncan. They discuss the scouting mission and reflect on the changing landscape of the planet Arrakis. Mineo's fascination with the Emperor is evident as they continue their journey together. Reverend Mother Aniak of the Bene Gesserit receives news from a fish speaker that the audience with the God Emperor has been delayed, leaving her worried about the dwindling spice supply. She then interrogates a messenger who reveals that the Ixians are expecting a new ambassador, Winori. Additionally, a Tylaxa-faced dancer warns of an assassination attempt on Leto, while the temporary ambassador shares a secret message about the Ixian embassy being infiltrated by face dancers. They decide to alert the Emperor and prepare for the worst. Leto is still on the road to On, questioning Mineo about informing the Bene Gesserit of schedule changes, which he confirms. Leto decides to reject their request for a permanent embassy due to his disdain for their religious facade. He then orders Duncan to execute a Carino, testing his loyalty. Leto rarely discusses spice, but in a discussion he hints at a future where he will be the source of the spice, creating a new and dangerous breed of sandworms. He predicts that after his death, Arrakis will slowly go back to its former self, a desert planet with sandworms and spice. Despite Mineo's discomfort, Leto assures him of worse alternatives. He goes on to say that he values surprises and hints at Siona's potential affection for Duncan. Mineo attributes this to his omniscience and admits that he, on the other hand, fears the unknown. The Emperor grants Mineo the wish of bringing his daughter to the Citadel, despite the warning of the imminent trial. The museum Fremen approach Leto on the road to On. He orders his guards to clear the path, but the Fremen, disguised as pilgrims, reveal that they are actually face dancers, leading to a battle. Leto uses his cart's suspensors to run down some attackers, while the fish speakers deal with the rest. Mineo receives a late message from the Bene Gesserit about the impending attack, but the fish speakers doubts its authenticity. The Emperor replaces his dead guards and orders the cleanup of the scene. Also, his cart's canopy is damaged by a lost gun and needs replacement. He plans to publicly punish and expel the Tleilaxu ambassador during his audience. He then asks Mineo to deliver a message to Siona, emphasizing her importance and reminding him of humanity and love. Mineo doesn't comprehend fully, but Leto insists on delivering the message. As they enter On, they are greeted by fish speakers chanting the word Sihanouk along the road, which sends shivers down Duncan's spine. He inquires about the meaning of this word, only to be informed by the fish speaker guard that it's not a word for men, only for women, although Leto shares it sometimes with the Duncan Golas. Idaho remembers studying a map of the city, designed primarily for observing the God Emperor, yet also housing embassies, fish speaker schools, museums, and libraries. As they descend into the chambers below the city, the chanting ceases, but Duncan notices the fish speakers still silently mouthing the word Sihanouk. During a private meeting before the festival, Leto spends a lot of time with the new Ixian ambassador, Winori. He senses her charm, a product of Bene Gesserit training, yet enjoys her company. They discuss her ancestors' failed assassination attempt on him, where he demonstrated his invincibility when attacked with a lost gun. Next, he probes her background, suspecting she was born in an Ixian machine. Leto also reveals his knowledge of Ixian schemes and their allegiance with the Tleilaxu, but still decides to make her a permanent ambassador. They part ways with a sense of missed opportunity for love due to their circumstances. In another meeting in Leto's audience chamber, Ambassador Nanipi is accused by Leto of spreading false rumors about his personal life. Despite warnings from Duncan about the repercussions among other envoys, Leto orders Nanipi to be publicly flogged as a lesson in responsibility. As they witness the punishment, Leto reduces the lashes to 20, but maintains that all his actions serve to teach a lesson. Later, Mineo learns from Duncan that he disapproves of the flogging, and Leto orders for Duncan to be kept away from Winori and sends him with a troop to patrol the city. As night falls on audience day, Leto meets with the Bene Gesserit. Reverend Mothers Luzial attempts to probe Leto's intentions behind the flogging, but he dismisses any strategic purpose. He declines their offer of alliance and reveals his physical transformation, emphasizing his increased brain size and sensory alterations. As she subtly approaches Leto, he detects spice essence on her, which can be used as a weapon against him. She admits obtaining the essence from smugglers, and she requests protection from the Ixians who try to develop artificial intelligence capable of predicting Leto's actions. The Emperor assures them of his control over the situation, emphasizing the distinction between automation and true intelligence. In the end, Leto pledges continued spice allocation and overlooks the Bene Gesserit's true intentions with the essence. Duncan interrupts with reports of violence in the city, prompting Leto to strategize a response, demonstrating his mastery over the situation. After audience day, Leto lies awake, consumed by thoughts of Winori. He questions the possibility of undoing his transformation so they can be together, but he knows it's futile. He ponders breeding someone similar, but dismisses the idea too. He also thinks that the Ixians' attack on him with real people instead of machines is kind of ironic. Meanwhile, two fish speaker guards outside his room talk about the Emperor's apparent distress. Duncan and Siona are escorted by a group of fish speakers. She remains silent towards Duncan, who reflects on her bitterness, reminiscent of his own past vendetta against the Harkonnens. Siona directs them to a village named Goigoa, formerly known as Shulak or Jakirutu in the Dune era. Upon arriving, they learn that tomorrow Siona must go to the citadel while Duncan will return to On. As they explore the village, Duncan questions Siona's motives, prompting her to inquire about Duke Leto and Paul. Siona laments the oppressive nature of the Empire, attributing it to Leto's strategy for survival. She reveals their quarters are meant to encourage procreation, to which Duncan rejects the notion of being treated as a mere breeding tool. Idaho encounters a familial resemblance in the village, evoking memories of Jessica. Following a quiet night with Siona, Duncan descends beneath the city, where he encounters the Emperor. As they proceed to the ceremony, Leto elucidates the symbolic significance of sharing spiced wafers, emphasizing the fish speakers' collective femininity and Duncan's singular masculinity, compared to Leto's dual nature. Entering a vast chamber teeming with fish speakers from various planets, Idaho is struck by the power emanating from the gathering. Recalling Leto's discourse on loyalty, he senses a profound temptation to align himself with this cause. The Emperor publicly demands Duncan's allegiance before the assembled fish speakers, and after the ceremony, they navigate through the crowd as the women reach out to touch them as they pass. Winori is brought before Leto, accompanied by a fish speaker and Reverend Mother Aniak. Winori informs the Emperor that she's conveyed his message to the Ixians about her birth details. He also learns that they aim to understand his religious control over the Bene Gesserit. Leto acknowledges his affection and sees her as a potential bride, but stipulates his role in choosing the father of her children. He dismisses her but plans to summon her again. Later, Mineo brings Winori to Leto, and she notices his evident distress. She questions her frequent summons, and Leto reveals a past Ixian plan to create a deadly self-improving machine. He expresses concern over the risk of losing humanity to machines and mentions their current secretive project. He plans to send Aniak to investigate this project and asks Winori to divulge her memories of the secret chamber that she grew up in. Leto restricts space travel to increase its value and discusses the dwindling spice and its consequences. He emphasizes the importance of appreciating life, revealing insights into his fish speaker army and his method of selecting administrators. Ultimately, Winori decides to marry Leto and promises to inform the Bene Gesserit sister of everything. Reverend Mother Aniak hastily writes a report to Chapter House before departing. She recounts a peculiar encounter with Winori, who arrives with a formidable escort of 100 armed fish speakers. She reveals her intention to wed Leto and urges Aniak to keep it secret. Reverend Mother's secret mission involves investigating a chamber potentially capable of shielding individuals from Leto's prescience. The Ixian embassy is attacked by explosives from face dancers and rebels. Leto, enraged, rushes to the surface from his crypt and confronts the attackers. After decimating them, their blood touching his body is like poison to him, so he retreats to a cleansing room to heal. He summons Winori and instructs her to deliver a message to Aniak, urging her to act against Malky. He is not to be left alive and free. Leto also plans to manipulate the interactions between Siona and Duncan, getting them alone together. Next, Leto informs Winori of his intentions regarding their marriage and the future leadership dynamics. He plans a public performance by surviving face dancers, followed by an announcement of their impending wedding. Shortly after, the face dancers put on a humorous performance mimicking Paul's priest spreading his religion throughout the universe, followed by the announcement of the wedding. This upset the fish speakers, who believed they were his only brides, reflecting the significance of Sihanouk. Mineo, caught off guard, confronted Leto angrily about the situation, fearing the spread of lies across the empire. He goes on to accuse Winori of enchanting Leto, to which the Emperor strangely agrees. Leto is happy that he found solace and companionship for the first time in centuries. He designated Village Tabor for the ceremony, leaving the timing to Mineo. The ceremony would follow old Fremen traditions, with Mineo giving the bride away. Only a select few, including Siona, would attend, but only if she manages to pass her trial. Duncan's abrupt entrance signals the end of the discussion. Leto notices a significant change in Duncan's demeanor as he strides toward him. Idaho questions why he's been brought back and accuses the Emperor of various wrongdoings. Expressing his disconnection from the current time, Duncan criticizes Leto for repeatedly reincarnating him without his consent. Leto reflects on the loss of life's unpredictability and discusses his marriage to Winori, which Duncan finds perplexing. He plans to return to the Citadel to learn more about Winori, but Leto opposes the idea. Before leaving abruptly, Duncan mentions Leto's grandmother Jessica being a witch. Leto is furious because Duncan is defying him by pursuing Winori. He urges Mineo to accelerate the wedding plans, but not before Siona's trial. He warns Mineo about Duncan's charm, especially on Winori, and instructs him to consult the Tailaxu for a substitute. Mineo, promising to confront Winori and Duncan, he leaves the room, hearing Leto's agitation in the background. On his way out, he is confronted by a fish speaker guard about the Emperor's distress, to which he blames this on the impatience for the wedding. Mineo delivers a directive from the God Emperor to Duncan, instructing him that he must stop seeing Winori. Furious, Duncan desires to confront Leto about it, despite Mineo's warnings. Later, he returns to his quarters where he encounters Winori. She expresses her commitment to Leto, but they end up sharing an intimate moment together. Leto is ready to meet Siona for the first time since her expulsion from the fish speaker school. At dusk, Mineo transports her with a thopter to the area of the little Citadel Tower. Concluding that she's prepared, Leto decides to begin the trial. He then discusses with Mineo about replacing Duncan, but it will take around 2 years for another Gola substitute. The fish speakers complain to the Emperor that Idaho is questioning them about their origins over and over again, to which Leto replies that it is part of his Atreides training. He also mentions his intention for Mineo to mate with Winori, causing momentary confusion. As they speak, Leto experiences a sudden convulsion, startling Mineo, who flees in fear. As he heads out, he hears Leto in the background shouting at him that Siona will be tested the next day. Mineo outfits Siona with an authentic stillsuit in the little citadel. Leto takes her into the desert, and despite her doubts in the golden path, he insists that she will believe in it or perish. With only her stillsuit for water, they shelter from the sun until nightfall, when water consumption is minimized. As they wait the nightfall, Leto educates Siona on the Fremen ways. Despite his reminders, she neglects to seal her stillsuit face mask. At night, she starts walking in the right direction by instinct, using the stars as a guide, but she still fails to seal her mask. By morning, exhausted and cold, Leto prepares a warm spot for her to rest, fearing she may not survive. Idaho encounters Mineo in a tunnel beneath the citadel, where young fish speakers reside. Along the way, he witnesses two fish speakers sharing a passionate kiss, provoking his anger. Confronting Mineo about it, Duncan is surprised when he suggests that suppressing such behavior might worsen it. Their disagreement escalates into a physical altercation, with Mineo effortlessly overpowering Duncan. This encounter leaves Idaho astonished by Mineo's skills and realization that he is merely an older version of the Atreides. Duncan has been furious all day for being put in place by Mineo, but he gets summoned by a fish speaker to meet him in Winori. Mineo apologizes for causing his frustration, revealing Leto's absence. They learn that Mineo was also on a trial just like Siona. The Emperor left orders for Duncan and Winori to part ways indefinitely, sparking a heated debate about his divinity. Idaho departs angrily as she vows not to meet him again. In his quarters alone, Duncan reflects on Winori and Mineo's loyalty to Leto, recalling his own past devotion, now vanished. Siona delayed using her still-soot face mask for 2 full days. She recalls Mineo's advice about moisture preservation and realized that she is in trouble and needs Leto's help to survive the desert. He offers her spice essence, and despite the effects it could have on her as an Atreides, she takes it, triggering intense visions. She witnesses a future where humanity faced annihilation, haunted down by mechanical beings. Now she understands Leto's crucial role in preserving humanity. She felt connected to the Golden Path, urged by Leto to breed and educate others the Fremen ways after his passing. Caught in a rainfall, Siona witnessed Leto's agony from water poisoning. Ultimately, she resolved to rebel against him in the future using his aversion to water. Nayla updates Mineo on Siona's survival of the trial and her return with Leto to the Citadel. She confirms her duty to attend Leto's wedding armed with a lost gun before departing. Mineo then summons Idaho, who arrives in a black uniform, without an insignia. Appearing worn from her desert trial, Siona, now as a fish speaker commander, asserts her authority only over Nayla. She overhears their conversation and questions Mineo about who he trusts, to which he responds with Leto. Mineo decides to send them to the Museum Fremen village during the wedding, assigning Nayla and a detachment of fish speakers to accompany them, to which they agree. Upon reaching to Ono, the trio and the fish speakers encounter the Museum Fremen, much to Duncan's disdain. He finds their lifestyle amusing. Despite this, he agrees to share his knowledge of the true Fremen ways with them. Nayla asserts that the God Emperor has ordered Duncan and Siona to be accommodated together. At a meeting in the tower of the Little Citadel, Leto informs Mineo that Winori's uncle, Malky, will soon arrive brought by a guild lighter and mentions Aniak's death in her mission. Despite Mineo's pleas to reconsider the wedding location, Leto remains steadfast. When the guild lighter arrives, Mineo brings an injured Malky to Leto's chamber. He reveals that Winori is an opposite clone of himself, created by the Ixians with knowledge from the Tleilaxu, in a chamber hidden from Leto's sight. Mineo ultimately executes Malky and gets rid of his body. In Tuono, Duncan and Siona discuss Leto's upcoming wedding. She confides in Duncan about her raid on the Citadel and the stolen journals. He criticizes her leadership, suggesting she should have preemptively dealt with threats, like poisoning the wolves. Siona expresses her belief in Leto's golden path, but they both agree that he must be eliminated. The plan is to command Nayla to use her lost gun against Leto, and if she refuses, she must be eliminated too. Finally, Leto and his companions embark on the wedding journey from the citadel, traveling along the rim wall. During the journey, Winori questions Leto about his encounter with Malki, to which he expresses concern about a potentially catastrophic invention by the Ixians. Winori perceives his emotional vulnerability and remarks on his inner conflict between love and fear. Moved by their conversation, Leto sheds tears, which Winori gently wipes away. This was the first touch he felt since his transformation. Meanwhile, Duncan embarks on a daring ascent up a nearly vertical wall, equipped with a rope matching its height. Nayla, holding on to her lasgun, joins them reluctantly, to which Siona is relieved. She watches Duncan climb, and he estimates the height at around 900 meters. The Royal Road, being around 500 meters wide and flanked by rock pillars, makes this a great location for a potential trap. Before the Emperor's wedding, Mineo requests Thopters for security, but Leto declines. Mineo worries about the guards being dismissed for breakfast and asks about the day's events, but Leto advises him to stop stressing about the wedding and take control of his own life. Winori interrupts, revealing her understanding of Leto's essence, causing him to pause before expressing gratitude for the brief moments of humanity she provides amid his extraordinary existence. Nayla, armed with her lasgun, stands behind a rock pillar near the bridge, convinced that what she is about to do is part of a divine trial. The Fremen and fish speakers are close to the bridge. When they reach the midpoint, she must sever the bridge with a precise shot from her lasgun. Meanwhile, Mineo observes a figure in the distance and shifts his gaze to Idaho and Siona, sensing the impending disaster. The sound of the lasgun discharge echoes through the air, prompting disbelief within Mineo. The bridge begins to tilt, sending everyone toward the canyon's edge, and Mineo instinctively grabs hold of a severed support cable. Amidst the chaos, his gaze finds Winori standing precariously on the cart, clinging to her seat as members of the procession plummet from the bridge. Despite his best efforts, he loses the grip on the cable, just as Leto makes a futile attempt to save Winori from her fate. Mineo witnesses Leto's tragic fall, and before his inevitable collision with the rocks below, Mineo screams his unwavering belief in Sihanouk. The river carries Leto's body to the shore near the former site of Siege Tabor. Nayla, Siona, and Duncan descend the cliff using ropes, and consumed by anger over Winori's death, Duncan seizes Nayla's lasgun and executes her. With his last words, Leto tells Siona that she holds the vital seeds of their survival and reveals that his spice is concealed within Siege Tabor. As Leto begins to disintegrate, his dying breath resonates a message of defiance against the Ixians. Following the Emperor's demise, Duncan and Siona are left to confront the challenge of governing the Empire.